Hello, my name is Dhruv. I'm joined by Farhan, and you're listening to the F1 Fix.
Welcome back, everyone, for our 12 concurrent viewers. Today's an interesting episode. We
Hmm.
just finished watching the Silverstone Grand
It's
Prix, and
it's
we're
fresh in our
recording.
memories. It's
Yeah,
literally like the race ended like a minute ago, and now we're recording it because we
and we're
are
so shocked. We're
shocked.
so
Oh my
shocked.
god! Oh my god! What happened in those last
What
three
was that
laps?
race?
I
What
can't
was that
believe it.
race?
Okay.
Yes, we'll get
Okay,
into
well,
that.
yeah, it was. Sorry, we're lying to our viewers. We shouldn't lie. It's currently it's the Saturday of the 70th anniversary Grand Prix weekend. Um, uh, but we're still shocked. We're still shocked from what happened last week. Uh,
Yeah.
shook to my core that was an intense couple of last laps. Oh, you also might be wondering that why we're missing a host, Marcus. It's because he's on holiday. He doesn't have a
Again,
pandemic.
again.
He's on holiday again. For some reason, a pandemic makes no difference to his holiday plans, and he is in a lake in Germany somewhere. So, unfortunately, he couldn't join us this week. But you know what? I think we can just be the dream team for this week and pull it together. So, anyways,
Yeah. He didn't do much anyway, so
yeah, he
that's
was
alright.
exactly. It was a low input, low quality input.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
anyways,
Okay, so let's talk about the start of the weekend because we go into the weekend and we like the Thursday before this weekend starts, we get news that Sergio Perez has COVID,
mm,
and yeah, dude, like I don't think I've ever been like more worried about a driver or like an outcome. Like, yes, it's exciting, it's shaking up the field and stuff, but I don't think I've ever been so worried about someone like when I
someone's
heard
health
that.
that you don't like
Yeah,
personally know. No, I get it. Cause I was reading about um, a couple of stories about how some sports people got COVID, and then
mm,
because of the damage it does to their lungs, like they were never the same again. But
yeah,
thankfully, Checo seems to have had an asymptomatic COVID experience so far. So it
yeah,
shouldn't be doing anything too badly to him.
thankfully. And it's really strange because I know like some really healthy, like super athletes that have gotten it and they've been hit like really hard by it. So it's really like a mixed bag. Like, even if you're a healthy individual, like, um, it can hit you hard, and that's the scary thing about it. So, everyone out there, stay safe, wear masks,
Yeah,
and let's hope this doesn't happen again.
social
The one
distancing.
bright side to this was that we got Mr. Nico Hulkenberg
Oh
back.
my god, Hulkenback, hashtag Hulkenback. Oh my god, there was so
And
much hype for that. Oh, I was so
dude, I
excited.
was hype about.
I
I
was
was
so
so excited
excited.
because this man, obviously, we know he has a streak. He's never. He's been in the sport for many many years. Never has had a podium, even though he's
Mm-hmm.
been in potentially podium winning cars.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the best chance we could
He's
have
come
had
so
because
close so
he
many times.
the racing point so close. That's true, but like we really thought this was it. Like the racing
Yeah,
point was a real
yeah,
contender in the race.
yeah.
It's proven to um, race really well. It's proven to get those high positions and potentially a podium as well. So
And we know how
we
good
thought this was it.
Hulkenberg is for race pace. Like he's always been really good at pulling out really good performances, even in a midfield car. Um,
Yeah. Um, Honestly, like I was very surprised that he did uh, as well as he did because he got called on Thursday.
mm,
He went immediately flew to Britain, started doing simulator practices, had a seat fitting, no exercise,
Yeah.
like a long time out of F1,
Yeah.
um, with no preparation, maybe a few sim races, but we all know that doesn't really equate to
Yeah.
real life performance.
Yeah.
Um,
The
and
simulator was mostly just so that he could learn the buttons on the steering wheel and like what they do.
yeah, brand new
Not
car as well, like
exactly
new
not
design,
like
like
that simulator doesn't give you a good feel of what a car is actually like. The G forces are not going to be the same in any way.
exactly. Even during practice, he like you could tell his neck was slightly shifting, and he complained about hitting the bumps, and
Yeah.
his seat wasn't fitted correctly.
Mm.
And then the next day after practice, his neck was like so sore, but like he did really well to recover. Not recover, but like he did well for someone just getting into F1 after many months out of it,
Yeah.
and no
Yeah.
preparation whatsoever.
Exactly. And like
So yeah, that was very
even mental
impressive.
preparedness is important. And like he obviously
True.
had no idea that that would happen. Um, I'm
True.
sure he was notified by. I'm sure Racing Point told him like we might call you at some point if somebody gets infected, but I don't think he actually expected it to happen.
Yeah, I'm like you would think that Racing Point would go to their reserve drivers, uh,
I, I
but
would think because they share. I think we spoke about this. We did actually speak about this last time. I think we were talking about how, what happens if somebody gets a
yeah, that's true.
if somebody gets COVID. I wanted to. I was check. Did we? So when we were last recording, um, Checo was positive at that point, or did we not know?
No, we didn't know.
We thought it was inconclusive, wasn't it?
I
Or
don't remember. When did
I
we?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember when we
No,
last
this
recorded.
is well before. No,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no. I remember sending you the message on like Thursday that he got
Oh, right. Okay,
COVID.
okay. So we didn't really discuss like specifically Racing Point, but so we did talk about who the reserve drivers are for specific seats. Like for example, the reserve drivers Racing Point was technically supposed to be using were the same reserve drivers as the Mercedes. So
Yeah,
technically, Racing Point, Williams, and Mercedes are sharing the reserve drivers. Who um, one of them is Pascal Wehrlein, other one is uh, forgot who the other one is. Anyways, Esteban
I
Gutierrez, I
don't
think.
know. Yeah,
I think, yeah. Anyways,
is it
um,
maybe something like that?
yeah. But yeah, and I think when that news came out where when Checo tested positive, everyone was at the same time kind of like definitely worried about him, but also very excited to hear who was going to replace him. And the popular opinion was definitely Hulkenberg. Like every single F1 fan wanted Hulkenberg in that seat.
Yeah, I mean it's like a no-brainer. Like it was really sad to see him go. I think everyone collectively did not want to see him go in last year,
Yeah.
and like when he did, it was just like he left in a very like sudden way as well, and he didn't leave like
On his own
he
terms.
yeah, but he like his leaving wasn't warranted in the sense like he didn't mess up. He wasn't performing bad. He wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything wrong.
Yeah.
He was doing everything right, but he still left, and that's why it was sort of bittersweet.
Yeah.
Um, it's like Wehrlein in the past as well, um, in Sauber when he got
Mm.
replaced. But yeah, it so it was really nice to have him back, and
Yeah.
yeah, but
But then
obviously
oh my god, when
before
so
the
the
race
race I
too.
remember because basically since I watch on cable um
Yeah,
on my cable Fox Sports owns the rights of the F1, so it's not Sky Sports
hmm
shows up like five, so races start at, for example, if they were to start at 9:10, Fox Sports commentates until 9:05. So and for some reason Fox didn't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
The commentators on Fox were like, "Oh, he's gonna start from
What?
the pit. He's gonna start from the pit lane. He probably just has an issue with something." And and I remember I was texting you guys, and you were like, "He's out." Like the commentators are saying that he's not gonna be in the race, and I was confused because the Fox commentators were saying that he was just gonna start from the pit lane, and so I was pretty adamant. I was like, "No, no,
No.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, don't worry, guys. He'll start from the pit lane." But 9:05, the Sky commentators take over, and I just all my heart just sinks. I'm like, so much hype,
Dude,
so
it's the worst.
like the
It's the
one
worst
person it had
feeling.
to happen to him out of everyone. It had to happen to him that there was an injury.
Yeah,
Like,
legit.
couldn't be anyone else. Couldn't have been Lance's car. Ugh,
If only it was Lance's car, honestly.
yeah,
Oh, it's so frustrating.
it was very
Like,
frustrating.
yeah, I think collectively every F1 fan was very disheartened at that point. And it was very funny because during the race there was a thing going around online in Twitter, Reddit. It was like blowing up to vote Hulkenberg driver of the
Yeah.
day. Even though he wasn't racing. And I did that. I was like, I kept putting I put him as driver on the day on my phone, on my laptop, on like any device I could find. And it was weird because usually at the end of the race, like they announce who the driver of the day was, and like Martin Brundle will say something about that, like, oh, he got driver of the day, he did a really good race, things like that, and they would show the top like 3 with like percentages of who voted.
Exactly.
But the F1 didn't show anything about driver of the day, and it's the funniest thing because I reckon Hulkenberg definitely got that vote. And when you go on the website, it just says Lewis got driver of the day. So
Yeah, and I'm sure Lewis
too
is just
fun.
like their default. Like if they don't, if
Yeah.
the results are inconclusive, Lewis just gets it.
He has the best fans.
He has the best.
No, but like even Twitter was blowing up like where's the driver of the day? Who was the driver of the day? Why didn't we get to see the driver of the day?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nico Hulkenberg has one more weekend this weekend to also try get that podium as well, because Checo's mandatory quarantine is like 10 days.
Yeah, because he tested positive on the Thursday before the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. So now he's going to have to quarantine for a little bit longer, which means that he's fine, no symptoms, which means that we get another weekend of Hulkenberg. And hopefully this time. And he, okay, we're kind of spoiling the 70th anniversary GP here, but in FP2 yesterday he did get P4. So he is definitely showing some good promise. He's an excellent driver, so it just shows that he can jump into a car and get used to it.
And he's not too far behind Stroll either, maybe like 2/10 or something.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Which is impressive.
Oh, come on, Hulkenberg podium. This has to be it. If he doesn't, it's gonna be so frustrating.
If he comes P4, that's gonna be the worst, I think.
Oh, I'll actually like blow up someone's engine so they get a 5-second penalty or something.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about let's talk about qualifying on British Grand Prix, because the top 3 were the usual suspects, with obviously Lewis, Valtteri, Max in that order, and it's not going to be in any of that. I feel that's just what the championship standings are going to look like for the rest of the year.
It was funny because we had dinner yesterday, and Dhruv was looking at FP2, I think it was, and he was just like, I was like, oh, how is it? And he was just Hambotver. And I was like, okay, I'm not looking at that anymore. Like, what's new?
Hambotver. Yep.
Hambotver. But honestly, like, if you ignore the top 3, the stuff below is actually really interesting. Like, the midfield battle is crazy.
Yeah, because literally, like, even on Reddit, it's like there's kind of like a lot of different championships going on. There's Lewis fighting himself. There's Valtteri who's fighting Lewis. There's Max, who's fighting himself. Nobody really. He's like in no man's
Literally,
land.
yeah.
And then there's everyone else. There's also like two midfields now, where it's like upper midfield, like Renault, McLaren,
Oh yeah,
Albon, Racing Point.
Albon. Oh no.
I mean, that's what it was when Pierre was racing as well. Like Max
Yeah.
is just on his own level. Like nobody's gonna
See,
come
that's
close.
the thing. That's what I'm saying as well. Like, I genuinely think I I used to think I not used to think I definitely supported Pierre as a driver, and I thought he was like a really good driver, and I was
And
really
he showed
shocked
it.
that he
He
wasn't
showed
performing.
it. He showed last weekend. Yeah, the British Grand Prix.
Yeah,
He did very well.
I mean, he is a really good driver, and people were like, "Oh, you're wrong. Like, that's not true. He's really bad." But I'm just saying, like, the even with Ricardo, sort of fell off towards the last bit of Red Bull. Discounting the retirements, like Verstappen would outqualify him and things like that. Um, but I really think that this car is just so suited to Verstappen's driving style that it's just like practically impossible for anyone else to compete.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
like there is definitely the thing where people have said, if your team has gone through Danny Kvyat, if you've gone through Ricardo, you've gone through Pierre Gasly, and you're now on Alex Albon, and all four of those drivers couldn't perform in your car to the level that Max
mm,
was, then it's it almost is like one, Max is just on another level, but also
mm,
is the fact that the car is just not a good fit for a lot of or a driving style that fits many people. It's a very very specific driving style that Max excels at, and I think that
yeah,
the second driver usually ends up having to adapt to the car instead of the car adapting to the driver, which is the case for Max, I think.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's fair enough because like Max is like a superstar. He's literally Red Bull's bet for the their next few world champions if they can
Yeah,
get a car that's good enough. So
yeah,
it makes sense to build a car like completely around Max.
yeah,
But where that hurts is in the constructors because they're not getting points as a team. They're just getting
mm,
points for Max really,
yeah,
which is like yeah. Even Pierre Gasly was saying Helmut Marko was very impressed by his performance at AlphaTauri. So
mm,
like they are world class drivers. They are really good drivers. It's just the car is not suited to
yeah.
their driving
And
style, which is
if we look at
unfortunate.
qualifying, if we look at qualifying last weekend, Gasly out qualified Albon in uh,
That's
what is
true.
supposed to be a sister car, which I think shows that Toro Rosso, that sorry, not Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri is just sorry, very unprofessional of me.
You sound like Crofty.
No, but the AlphaTauri car in general suits drivers a lot better. I think it's just a better,
Mm,
an easier car to handle than the Red Bull
yeah.
is. And if your B team is out qualifying your A team, that the last time that happened was like 2008 when Vettel got Monza pole. Like literally,
Yeah.
that does not happen. Like B teams don't out qualify A teams. Um, there is definitely something wrong there, and I don't know. I think Albon is definitely, and he said this himself. Like it kind of almost seems like he's struggling, but if so, Albon was saying, if you think about it, like he's not performing badly really. Like okay, first race, he could have almost won that if things went his way. Second race was decent. He had a recovery drive. Um, Third race was the British Grand Prix, Hungarian Grand Prix, which he did okay. He had a good recovery drive again. He hasn't really been doing terribly. It kind of just seems that way because of his maybe qualifying performances, because of a misfortune coming to him in races. But I think for now he's still doing okay, and he's still taking his time to adjust to the car. And
Yeah.
again, it is he hasn't even finished a full year with the team yet. Um,
That's
but
largely
then
what Christian Horner is saying as well. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah. But then to be
committed to
fair,
Albon.
Gasly didn't get much of like a comforting treatment. He got thrown into it, and then halfway through the season he wasn't performing, so they kicked him out. But I think I have said this before, where I
Yeah,
think
there's
the difference with Albon is that Albon's kind of showing that he can do those like riskier, those kind of max style overtakes, and sometimes they don't work, but
yeah.
he kind of shows that he has a bit more of that aggression.
But bro, Max has been in racing F1 for years now, and like um, we have to remember like at the start of his um, racing career in Formula One, like he would
Yeah.
crash, get into squabbles so
Yeah,
often, and people were like, yeah, this guy needs to get out of F1. Like he's too young, he's too immature, he doesn't know how to race. Like so much about him, and now I don't think anyone's questioning his
no.
validity in the sport.
I think people
I
definitely
mean,
still don't like him because of his attitude sometimes,
oh,
because
true.
he's like that more fiery. But I think it's good. I think it's good
Yeah.
having somebody like that on the grid. It makes things exciting.
Yeah.
Even from like the
But
off
it's
track
like,
kind of thing, like having those rivalries is fun.
but I just feel bad because like I don't think the second Red Bull driver gets too much time to develop their skills. They just get thrown
Yeah.
into the mix with Max Verstappen. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It would have been nice if it was still Ricardo and Verstappen, and Albon
I
got
think
like a few years
yeah.
to like practice. But yeah,
No, I think it would.
it is what it
well,
is.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what would have happened if Ricardo never left? Because then they would have to get rid of either Gasly or Kvyat, and who knows if they even would have like done that.
It's like
So
Kvyat's like fifth time getting kicked out of a Red Bull.
I genuinely think Kvyat is very good as well. I really like him. I think
Yeah.
he also didn't get too much time. He came into Red Bull and he was getting podiums. So
Yeah, I think like the Red Bull like dynamic is very like seems kind of toxic. Like
yeah,
like they don't give many like chances.
no, yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, but I mean, if you're in a team that's top three and you're expecting to potentially fight for world champions, then it's fair to have high expectations. But yeah.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, Gasly did get seventh. Ricardo also got P4 in the race. Insane,
Because I mean,
results.
contributing factors are the fact that Sainz had to retire because
we don't talk
Sainz-
about that.
Okay.
Ricardo got P4.
Okay, well,
yeah.
so Bottas, last couple laps we were talking about this at the very beginning, how shocked we were because it was genuinely, it was crazy. I was like shouting at the TV, and there was this point where Bottas gets his puncher, and I was so annoyed because I was like, if there's anybody that can at least put some competition to Lewis, then it's Bottas. And if he retires, then that means that he gets no points, and the championship is basically gone, and which it kind of is now. It's like 20 points away. Lewis would have to retire in a race, and Bottas would have to win to be able to get that. And Lewis just doesn't retire. Even when he loses a wheel, he doesn't retire.
I don't understand. It was, dude, those last 3 laps were the like most like gut wrenching thing I've ever experienced. Like, Bottas loses a tire right as he goes past the pit lane. The worst place to lose a tire.
Exactly, and
and
you can't pit,
I'm like supporting Bottas for the most part because even though it's like Mercedes overall, I don't really like their domination. But if I'm supporting one person, it's Bottas because I really want him to win the championship. I think he deserves it. But like, he got the puncture. Then I was like, okay, like Max is there. Like Max can, Max is at least getting second place, which is amazing. Max pits to obviously avoid this tire thing that's also happening to a lot of cars, to get fastest lap as well. Then Crofty out of the blue just says Hamilton's got a tire puncture, and turns out it's actually Bottas who has the tire. It's
Yeah.
just
The
the
graphic
video
was
of
wrong.
Bottas. Yeah, and so I was like, oh my god, no way, Verstappen's gonna win this thing. And then
Yeah.
I find out it's actually Bottas, and I'm like, damn, that sucks. And then they pan over to Hamilton getting an actual puncture, and I'm like, what is happening?
I remember because we were
craziest thing.
texting the group, and like I didn't even like I just watched that for like whatever the 5 minutes that it was that the entire debacle happened, and then I didn't even know what to text. I was like, I just there was nothing
Yeah.
like I was just like I don't even know what to say right now. I genuinely I said I think I said like I don't even know what I just watched because
I don't either
what
because
on
Hamilton
earth?
got
And signs
so
the tires. Oh
lucky.
my god.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, so disappointing for Sainz. He was doing a really good race. He was P4, right? Or
He was P4. I think
yeah,
he was P4 or P5 one of them. Yes, P4.
he was
P4,
running
he
a
was
really
P4.
good. Yeah, he's running a really good race. He had some really good battles with Norris, I think, at
It
the
would have been a 4-5
beginning
or a
laps of the
4-6
race.
for McLaren.
Oh, absolutely! Like what a and then you could see Lewis limping home, and Verstappen. They put the Verstappen's time behind Lewis up on screen, and you could see it decrease, decrease, decrease.
Yeah.
But somehow Lewis still won the thing. Oh my god! Like what a
Okay, and it's also a testament to how good Lewis is, to be honest, because that guy, like I watched these Mercedes like technical. They had like the technical debrief videos that they put out,
Mm.
and it showed Lewis's average speeds throughout the lap, and yes, he was doing about half the speed. But if you think about it, half the speed is when on the straight when he was doing 350, he was doing 220 on the straight, and with three tires. Imagine going 200. We can't on the roads here. We don't go more than 90 kilometers per hour with four tires on. Imagine going 220 kilometers per hour with three tires. It is insane. And Lewis got lucky, obviously, that his tire didn't start like unraveling and break everything. But
True.
it shows how good he is. Like his apex speeds for a couple of those corners were the same as they would be if he had four tires, especially like the last couple corners.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I guess.
Like yes, so Max cut down that time from 33 odd seconds to 6 or 7 seconds it was at the end.
It was
And
like 6.
and I genuinely think that if it was anyone else in that car, it would not be either that 6 seconds would be a lot closer, or Max would have overtaken whoever it would have been in the front, because Lewis is just that good. Like he can just like somehow just make his car become like magic. So like I don't know what it is in that guy's hands. He just knows how to do everything. And he's not even like I remember I read about all this stuff about like when Schumacher was in his prime, he used to like train, and like he was like the fittest, and like he would spend hours on track or at base, and like he would master every little thing. And if you watch his onboards, they're all like him just making like the most minute changes on his tires, and like changing the brake bias in like even the most dangerous places just to get those like extra thousandths of a second. Lewis, I'm sure he works extremely hard, and maybe I don't know how, like, you know, who knows if he what he does, but he's not like that. Like he does his other stuff. He's a balanced person. He has his like
makes music, fashion designer,
works with Tommy Hilfiger. He like there's so many things that he does, and it's not like he's completely focused on that. Like Rosberg, when he beat Hamilton, was like, it literally took the life out of me. All I could think about was winning the next race and how to beat Lewis, and like my everything just went into winning the next race, and it took like the life out of him. And like he couldn't see his family. Like he just destroyed himself for a year so that he could beat Lewis.
That's true.
And Lewis is just Hamilton, doing it by just like nothing.
During the post-race interview, he was just like fine. Like he was like, I'm calm. Like I was way calmer than I thought I would be. It was fine. Like I'm glad we won. And I was like, Do you realize what just happened? But yeah, it's so disappointing because I feel like the end was really down to luck. Like, I think Bottas's championship is really like out of contention at this point because of an unlucky situation. And like people were speculating that it was Mercedes's fault because like they had the DAS system and that contributed to the tire delamination, but they Bottas in an
James
interview
Allison
said they
said that. Yeah, James Allison said that that's not the case at all.
yeah they only used it to warm up tires during the safety car period, so it's like not even that. And like Science also had the same issue with the tire as well, so I think everyone was at that point, and it's just unfortunate that that happened. Whatever. Speaking of Bottas, he signed again for Mercedes next year, which is
Not surprised.
good news to be. I mean,
I think most years it was kind of like, even like last year, the year before, it was always like, oh, will they pick somebody else? But I think to a decent extent, we all knew that he would sign again. Like there were some rumors like maybe
but I mean,
Russell would get the seat, but Russell re-signed with Williams. Maybe like Vettel, but no, I didn't really see anybody else getting that
but
seat.
he was worried. Like he was looking to other teams and stuff. Like he had active talks with other teams, so it was like sort of uncertain, but like it's good. I mean, it's a no-brainer because that's that's another constant year before everything changes in F1 in 2022.
Yeah.
So
I think
good.
next year might be Bottas's last year with Mercedes.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think Russell will definitely make that shift up.
True. Unless he wins a world championship. No.
Oh, that would complicate things a lot. Because I mean, Lewis did say that he's gonna stick around for like 2 to 3 more. No, he said about 3 more years.
Really?
Yeah.
He wants to go for 10 world championships. That would be insane.
You think he's gonna retire after just 8?
No, he won't do that.
No, I don't think so either.
Maybe he'll start making music full time. It's too good. But another thing about the race, like Grosjean's driving in some of those overtakes was very questionable. And it's funny because he leads the drivers association.
Yeah.
So I wonder what those talks are like. Dude, I miss like when they used to post
the
drivers briefings and stuff.
They did that for
those
like literally like 4 Grand Prix, and they were so good. But yeah, unfortunate that
they were so good. They're so funny. The best thing, if I would watch those in favor of the press conferences, because the press conferences were so formal and stuff, but the drivers' briefings were so like funny, and there was so much drama in the thing. But like, that's gone as well. I guess we have Netflix now.
I mean, decent replacement.
Okay, I have a question for you. What do you think about Albon's 5-second penalty?
I genuinely think it was a racing incident, because so Kevin messes up in that corner right before the little straight before that fast right, which means that Albon sees that opening, and he goes for it, and that's completely normal. Like if somebody in front of you makes a mistake, you're gonna go and try to pick up the pieces. I think that Kevin didn't see that, and I think Crofty also kind of said that it was almost Kevin's fault because Kevin left no space open. He closed the door, and Albon at that point was going too fast to avoid anything, and so while yes, I think it was just a racing incident, but the thing that kind of makes Albon's penalty justified is the fact that Magnussen obviously ended his race, and Albon got to keep going. That's the only reason I see that penalty being justified. But honestly, I don't think that they should have handed it out. I think it
Yeah.
definitely was a racing incident, and like
I mean, even if Magnussen screwed up, Magnussen did screw it up. He would have
yeah,
lost a lot of time. He potentially would have crashed and stuff. Like, there was no confirming that Albon was the sole um, cause of his
yeah,
retirement
yeah,
if they didn't crash.
yeah,
But yeah, I thought like I thought it was very harsh actually. Like,
yeah,
I genuinely thought it was a racing incident. At first, I thought it was like Magnussen's fault completely, but then I saw like him hitting the corner before, like it was he was obviously off balance and it was tough for him, yeah, but like and who can blame Albon for going for a move when someone messes up in front, like.
yeah.
But yeah, whatever. It seemed a bit harsh. Even Magnussen said it was harsh, and
Yeah,
Magnussen DNF'd. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually so the Beyond the Grid podcast, I was going through a
Mm.
couple of the episodes and I listened to Magnussen's one, and he's genuinely like he's got a really good story. I've always thought that
Really?
Magnussen, yeah. I've always thought that Magnussen was a very good driver. Um,
Yeah.
because like he went straight to McLaren, was it? I think he went straight to McLaren after. Yeah, it was McLaren. Yeah, he joined McLaren for his debut year. His first ever race, he got a podium, and then after that, I don't think he got a
Really?
podium since. Yeah, which he talks about. He was like he definitely talked about the fact that he set his expectations up really high on his first ever race,
Mm-hmm.
and so after that, things were never quite the same. Um,
Yeah.
and then he was out a couple years because of Alonso joining McLaren and all that. So
I mean, he's had bad luck with Haas so far. Like,
yeah,
when Haas joined, we thought like, oh wow, this is a really good contender. Like, it was basically like a Ferrari, like had a lot of parts borrowed. But uh, they were performing really well, and then now they've just sort of dipped into this like awkward phase. And now, because Haas is run by just Gene Haas, like
yeah.
there's no like company behind it or anything. It's like
I
run
mean,
by one dude, basically.
it,
I mean,
it's
Haas,
it's Haas automation is what he's trying to advertise. But yeah, I got what you're saying. It's Haas
yeah,
is like
but
Gene Haas is the only owner of the team.
yeah, it's very like independent, and he's very
Mm.
much funding it himself. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Yeah.
it's tough for these Hasses. So I wish they were in. I wish all the cars were in contention. Actually, that would be what a good time. I think we're just
I think
saying
you
this
might like
because
you might like F2 then.
maybe we should just switch to F2, the
Yeah.
F2 fix.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. Spin-off.
What? Parody episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we'll do one. Like and comment if you want to see that. If we reach 10 likes, we'll make an F2 feature episode. Okay,
10
so
likes
the
would
big
be
news coming out of this week, that Racing Point, they got a penalty for.
Yep.
So Renault won the protest. They got a penalty from the FIA and a fine
Yep.
for having illegal brake ducts.
Yeah, and the confusing part about all of this is that they broke sporting regulations, not the technical
Yeah.
regulations. And so
Yeah.
because they didn't break technical regulations, that means that they can keep that part even though it's illegal. Will Buxton describes it as a kid borrows notes from an older kid for an exam, and the headmaster catches that kid stealing the notes, so he suspends him for a week, and he doesn't expel him. Um, that's his analogy. He thinks that it's fine, doesn't need to be any
What?
worse.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the best analogy.
Yeah.
but
It's kind of
essentially,
confusing.
his point of view is that like, yes, they deserve the penalty. No, they don't deserve any more because it's come out that Ferrari
Any
um,
more what?
any more
Oh,
fines
like a
or any more
harsher.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he thinks that the penalty is appropriate, but Renault, McLaren, and Ferrari have all protested the fine and the penalty,
Mm-hmm.
and they say that it should actually be harsher, and they shouldn't be allowed to keep those brake ducts. And
Yeah.
it's a fair point to a certain degree. Yeah, like if again, like if you caught a kid with illegal, like with the past paper, you wouldn't let him keep the past paper. You would take it away from him if it was
Yeah,
deemed not legal.
but it's also completely unreasonable to take out a part from the car and
Yeah.
expect him to develop a new part. So
Yeah.
this was actually interesting because the FIA themselves said they were at fault for not like clarifying things better.
Yeah.
So technically, Racing Point, their front brake ducts are also the same as Mercedes, but those were fine because basically the rule in 2019 for 2020 was that these brake ducts became a listed part, which means
Yeah.
that other teams can't copy brake ducts. So in 2019, Racing Point were using their front brake ducts from Mercedes, but they had the back brake ducts as their own brake ducts. But they knew what Mercedes were using for their back brake ducts, and
Yeah.
then in 2020 they used the same front brake ducts as 2019, but the Mercedes back brake ducts, the rear brake
Yeah.
ducts. So
Which you
the
can't take
issue,
photos of, which is why Renault was protesting, because how do
Yeah.
you copy something which is impossible to get a photo of? Like the front, even you
Yeah.
could get photos of, but the back you cannot. Like it's impossible to get photos of that. So they
Yeah,
protested
but
it, saying like, how could you possibly do that?
But the thing is, like, this is interesting because the front brake ducts, even though they were the exact same as the Mercedes one, weren't penalized because FIA just saw it as an evolution from 2019, because
Mhm.
Racing Point had those front brake ducts in 2019, but the rear ones were not an evolution. They just put it on after the rule change.
Yeah.
So they were like, you should have come to us and checked if it was legal. You should have done this, this, and this. But to be fair, like FIA admitted, like we weren't very clear on what to do if this sort of situation happens.
And I think from 2021,
but now they've cleared it up so that now teams can't do anything, because a lot of people were saying like, oh, like if we can copy another person's car and just pay 400K for it, then it's fine. Like we would be like if AlphaTauri copied the Red Bull and just paid $400,000 for it, then I mean they would make up so much. They would make up that money easily by the places they gain. So
another
possible.
thing, and another thing coming out of this is like the FIA is now trying to figure out a way to stop copycat cars, because they don't want a grid full of Mercedes from an assortment of years. so somehow they're gonna have to come up with a way of wording it so that it's
the CEO was like, not the CEO, someone in the FIA were like, we want to stop teams from taking photos of the other cars and like stop like using that to develop their own cars. And I'm like, how do you regulate something like that?
I mean, I don't know. The only way I can think is like every team would have to patent their own design, and then other teams can't use that patented design, and then...
No, but they want to stop other teams from taking a photo and analyzing the cars.
That's impossible. There's no way that...
That's what I'm saying. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, there's no way.
So it's just like, yeah. The other weird thing about this situation is that FIA deducted 15 points from Racing Point, and they just said like those 15 points were the advantage that the brake ducts gave to Racing Point, so they just saw it adequate to take away those 15 points because that's how much less they would perform without those brake ducts. So I don't know,
which kind of doesn't make sense. Like if you have, is the brake ducts really that critical to the car? Like that's what's making their car go that much faster.
It's, I mean, aerodynamically, like if the front of the car is basically a copy of the Mercedes, then aerodynamically, like the back really has to be the same, otherwise it can't perform. Because of how the aerodynamics work. So, that's why you can't replace, like, you can't take parts from one team to another because it just like it's designed very
the design
much
philosophy
as a holistic.
has to be as a whole package.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's. I'm gonna go over a couple of special mentions, and then we can round off this episode.
Special mentions.
Special mentions. Okay, Lando Norris finished 5th, which I think is pretty impressive. He's now had three fifths or higher in the last 3 races. It's very impressive. He's just somehow pulling off a lot of. But to be fair, they are saying that this weekend that they're gonna struggle, which I found weird that they would say that. But I think that the McLaren might not be so good with like softer tires or something, or like deck. So apparently they might not do so well.
I think this weekend will have to be 2 stops for everyone.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, like they don't want to risk. What happened last race?
Definitely. Russell came to got to Q2 for the 3rd time. Very impressive again. Finished P12, almost to the point. At least.
He got a penalty though before the race.
What did he? Oh yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, for failing to slow down for Latifi's crash. Yeah. Speaking of Latifi. So,
Third last.
I don't know this guy, and he said in the post race interview that he had a really good race and it was fun. It was really good to fight in contention with other cars. So he finished 15th, and the 2 other people behind him, Grosjean, was on a really strange tire strategy. So
because he was fighting with like Sainz and everybody at the top because he just didn't pit.
And then Raikkonen had no front wing for a part of the race. So obviously Raikkonen came last. So Latifi was telling everyone that he had a really great time racing other cars and was in contention, felt like he was in contention. But really he came last, and if you look past just the leaderboard and the statistics, like this guy, he says some strange things as well, like
because he came 2nd in the F2 championship last year, and like you have to be better than 18 other drivers to come 2nd, and it's F2, which means that the drivers are actually really good. So I'm just confused.
But also like doing so well. The F2 like talents, Leclerc, Albon, Russell, like they all left. Norris, they all left to F1 last year. Yeah. Who was first place?
I think it was Nick De Vries.
Oh, okay. And he's in Formula E now, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he does with Mercedes.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. What else? Was there anything else worth mentioning? I think the drivers are also somewhat...
Vettel, and I mean, Leclerc did very well, considering
circumstances. He did.
Vettel did not.
I don't know what's happening with Vettel.
But he did. He might actually be signing with Racing Point. considering
Probably.
he took a ride with Otmar Safnauer to the petrol
And
station.
he, what is it? Lawrence Stroll gave him a fist bump after the race.
No, an elbow bump. It was an elbow bump.
Oh, sorry,
So,
right, an elbow bump.
Yeah,
So,
times
yeah.
of COVID. Yeah, basically confirmed going to Racing Point, I'm sure.
The drivers are also kind of salty about Imola, how it's only a 2-day weekend. So they're saying like a 2-day weekend should only be I think Albon said this, for reserved for double header races in the same place. So like they'd be fine if they raced Silverstone last week and then had a 2-day weekend for Silverstone the next week.
But they're going to have to
But
learn
in a
Imola.
completely-
Like, the only
Yeah,
driver that knows Imola is Kimi.
Yeah, that's crazy. Kimi for the win? Kimi pole position?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, maybe that's what they're trying to do. Oh, maybe this is all an elaborate setup to get Kimi to win in a Alfa Romeo.
Maybe,
in Italy,
maybe.
Italian car.
Yeah. Forza
Wow.
Romeo.
Forza Alfa.
Forza Alpha.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Anyway,
I think
that
we've covered
covers
most
it
of.
for.
Yeah, covers most of what happened. We hopefully we get some good news from Hulkenberg this weekend. Qualifying is tonight.
Yeah.
So
And on the off chance, Sergio Perez, you're watching or listening to this podcast, we hope you a speedy recovery. And yeah.
And if
we're
you
ready
are
to see
watching,
your
you might as
race.
well please plug us on your Twitter, your Instagram, because we really need more views. And if you really are one of our 12 watchers, then you could make a significant impact on how many those that audience increases.
Indeed.
But for now,
Hulkenberg, if you're watching this, good luck for the podium tomorrow.
By the time this comes out, we will have known. So either this will just make you angrier, or even more happy. On that note, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you guys for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Android Podcast, the 7
all
other
the
platforms
podcasts
that I don't even know which ones it's on. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.